Hello, everybody. I am thrilled today to be sitting here with Daniela Williams from Cucinamore. And she is not only my friend, but she's been at my house and has cooked for us and has delighted us with her stories of Italy and her wonderful food. So, Daniela, thank you so much for joining us today. I am thrilled to have you.
Thank you for having me. Hello to you and hello to everybody.
So I wanted to start because I always feel that it's so important that we know the background, right? We know that you're an excellent, at least I know, and now everybody else will, that you're an excellent cook and an excellent chef. But can you give us a background, like where you're from and a little bit about your town, and then how you ended up in the U.S.?
You need to have a lot of popcorn to listen to the whole story of my life, but I'll try to make it short. I was born and raised in the city of Treviso in Italy, and Treviso is a small town that's about 25 miles north of Venice, so we're talking the northeast of the country. All of my family still lives there. I go back and forth as often as I can. And I arrived to the US for good in 2007. I need to do the math. 2007, that's when I arrived. And as it often happens, it was a man's fault. It was the man that I married. My husband is American, so I arrived here to reunite the family, because for a few years we had been going back and forth. And when I say back and forth, it was not just one ocean, but two, because my husband was he's a Navy veteran, and last place where he was stationed was Hawaii. So picture these dots going from Venice up over the Atlantic and then up over the Pacific to go to Hawaii. And that lasted for quite a while until we settled. My husband retired. We settled down in San Antonio, Texas first, and we arrived in Virginia in 2013. And that's where we've been living since.
Wonderful. So I know that you did not start as a chef, because I know some of your story, but can you tell us a little bit about what led you to start Cucinamore?
So food has been my passion possibly since I was born. My mom often says that, unlike what happens to many new moms, I was her first, that have to follow the kids around with a spoon trying to feed them. Her main problem was getting the plate off me when I was done, because I wanted to eat more. So I'm telling you, food has always played an important role in my life, so much so that back when I was in Italy, in my teenager years, I wanted to become a chef. Back in those days, there was a little bit of a stigma, at least in Italy, about any job in the kitchen that was often associated to those people who were not academically strong, and then they were encouraged to find a job in the kitchen. In my case, thankfully, I was actually doing very good in school. So in Italy, back then, you had to pick pretty much your professional path very early, because the type of school that would lead you would start at 14. So when I told my parents, I want to become a chef, and I was 14, and both them and my teachers told me, nah, you think you want to be a chef, but you don't. Here are some other options. So my other passions were geography and foreign languages. So I started studying first the travel industry, got my degree, started a job in the travel industry, soon became the manager of a corporate travel agency. And that's what I've done for almost 25 years in Italy. Then when I arrived to the US, fast forward a few years, I had to start all over again. My academic titles didn't mean much over here. By then I had a little toddler, and I found some interesting and supporting people who learned about my passions and put me on the right track to do what I'm doing today. Cucinamore was founded when I arrived to Virginia, really, beginning of 2014. I just celebrated the first 10th year anniversary with my company. So in between, travel industry, personal chef company. There was a small parenthesis in Texas when I was working for a cooking demonstration company, which was the liaison between the two worlds. Like I told you, you needed a lot of popcorn. It's not a short story. I'm not 18 anymore, Beatriz.
None of us are. But it's a fascinating story to me, because you finally got to do what you loved, what your passion is, which is food. And I am personally extremely grateful for that, because Daniela has been in my home, and when she wants share, to her own horn, but when she comes, she brings everything, and not only does she cook, but she entertains you with stories about Italy and how she came up with the food, and it is very entertaining. And then you sit down to an incredibly tasty dinner, which she pairs with the right wines and the desserts, and it is just a wonderful experience. It's private, so it's wonderful for a small group, or I think you can do up to 50 people, or is that too much?
No, 25. That is too 25. Much, because we're not a catering company. That's what people often confuses a personal chef company and a catering company. And I often say, when you hire a caterer, they do their magic in a commercial kitchen, and they bring you pans of fantastic food that's been prepared ahead of time, so they can respond to a larger number of people and multiple requests. When you hire a company like mine with a private chef, everything that you are going to be eating that night is prepared in your kitchen completely from scratch. So as you can imagine, even cooking for 25 people from scratch right before my client, it can be challenging at times. But the quality of what you're eating, just simply from a technical standpoint, you can't beat food that's been prepared and served right away. And plus, I get to interact with my client, which makes it for a fun experience as well. At least that's what I tell myself.
Well, no, and I agree with you. Not only have you been at my home, but I have been invited to other homes where you were cooking. And yes, it is an experience, right? So how many people is like the perfect group for you?
Well, I decided to do something between 2 and 25. And all of my parties, whether it's a couple on a weeknight or a larger event to 25, are perfect to me. I just need to adapt. So I discussed with the person that hired us, I discussed the perfect menu that allow me to shine, whether it's a small gathering or a larger event, so that I can stick to the standards that I set for myself and make sure I can provide the best experience within those numbers. But I call them all my perfect number.
Yes. Well, I have to say that your appetizers are to die for. I would probably sit down and eat those, but I have learned to control myself, because there's even more and yummier things coming as the main meal. But I love your appetizers, and I love the idea of being able to watch you cook while you talk and you give us stories, and it's just a whole experience, which is wonderful. And I really appreciate you taking time to speak to us today. And my last question for you is, you're one of really the founders of Immigrant Businesswomen Circle, because I approached you as one of my friends as soon as I thought of the idea. And you have been involved with us. And can you speak a little bit to what that means to you?
Well, I told you multiple times how fundamental this group was for me in my path. Being an immigrant and an entrepreneur is not easy. Being an entrepreneur to begin with is not an easy thing. It's not for the faint of hearts. But we as immigrants have other types of challenges. I'm not saying bigger or smaller, but they're different. And my experience, my personal experience was that only those who have walked in those shoes can truly, deeply understand what I say when I find the courage of sharing my insecurities, my doubts, my struggles. And to have found a group like ours is where I feel 100% safe, number one, to share all of that. And receiving selfless feedback from the other fellow members has been really paramount for me. I go to our meetings when I can, like all of us. There's no obligation to be there at all of them. But when I do, I always come home recharged and ready to do more and better just because of my fellow members of this group. So thank you.
Well, thank you, because you are a very important part of our group, and we enjoy having you as often as we can. And it is difficult for you because you do work evenings, and I always tell you, when you can't come, it's because you're working, and yay for you, right? So
you know that's for sure. If I'm not there, you know I'm working in some capacity.
Yes, and we appreciate everything you bring to the table for us. Right? And I mean, food wise and with your thoughts and your ideas and your experience, right? So thank you so much for sharing all this with us. We really appreciate it. And I look forward to your keynote next Thursday at 9 a.m. at Natasha's office. We will have the information for anybody that's interested in coming. So thank you very much, Daniela. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. And I hope to see a lot of people soon at the presentation. And as I like to hear to all the people that ask me about the group, all accents are welcome.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much.
Ciao.